Hello, everybody, and welcome back to One Hub Racing here for season 25. And we are in Texas, one of my favorites. And joining alongside me in the commentary box for the P2 tier is, of course, none other than Colin Mason.
Good evening, Nick. Good evening, all. So welcome to round 9. Sorry, round 10,
Yeah.
is it? Round 9, yes, round 9 of season 25 here at Texas.
Yeah, a fan favourite, and we've got a sprint round, which makes it even more exciting. So we will run through the weather, we will run through engine penalties, strategy, all those sorts of bits and bobs, including championship order. But as we get ready to load into the session, drivers are going to start, Colin, with a one-shot qualifying, which is always the process when we have a sprint round. How much pressure is it? One lap to get it right.
I personally love one-shot qualifying. The amount of pressure that's on the driver's shoulders to get that lap in. And don't forget, this track is quite easy to invalidate your lap as well. And, of course, that will mean you're going to be at the back of the grid. I love one shot. I think it's, it's not just about your pace. It's about your bottle. And I personally love one shot. And of course, we know that it is clear weather for the one shot quali.
Yes, but that's the only clear weather that we're going to get, as we have rain in the sprint race. So we know that it's going to rain. It will go to drier weather. But as we've seen in previous sprint races where this has happened, will it dry up enough for drivers to switch to the dry compounded tyre? And if it does dry up, when are they going to pit? Who's going to stay out? Loads of questions to answer. And then, of course, later for the main race, where the grid will be customized, we'll take in all engine penalties and things like that into account, which we'll run through later. But that's light cloud. But yeah, exciting stuff. Sun's going to be out for this one-shot quali, and then when we load into the sprint race, you will see it'll be raining.
Yeah, so this is what's going to be very interesting for the drivers. So they know it's going to start off wet, they know it's going to end up dry, but they're not going to know when. Don't forget, it's approximate weather, so it's going to vary between each session that they do. You can see that it's nice and sunny at the minute for the drivers in qualifying. And I do love the format. I know I speak about it probably every week. No saving the tyres. Absolutely, just go for it and set the best possible lap you can.
And make sure to load your setup if there's any drivers listening. We've got 18 of them here tonight. And as you mentioned, Colin, it's quite easy to invalidate here. So perhaps leaving a 10th on the table through Sector 1 might be an idea. But we'll wait and see who, as you said, has the bottle.
Yeah, here we go then. So they're going to have a go now. So at the moment, it's looking like Salo is currently in the lead.
Yeah, you're going to see it change a lot through this lap. Dr. Mew's now up, now back down. So Jamie's down in 18th. Hasn't changed. Has been there the whole time. So I'm not sure if he's had an issue as he's crossed the line. But Joe and Lawrence now the two at the top. We're going to ride on board with Salu as we head through to complete Sector 1. And these two tricky uphill corners here, Colin, very technical.
Very, very technical. Quite easy to lose the rear on the second exit there. Downhill braking you, really easy to outbrake yourself. Salo, little bit of a lockup, but good on the apex. Nice early on the throttle as it heads down the back straight now with the DRS wide open.
Shall we jump on board with JR Mason, your dad, who is currently now leading the way, but doesn't have a lot of errors left?
Yes, this is the thing. This is going to be very important for the drivers not to use all of their errs. You know, if you run out of errs, you're going to lose so much time.
So important where you deploy your errs through the lap. Some circuits more so than others. This is one of them. Has your dad, JR Mason, got it right? We said earlier, just off screen, he's got 4 pole positions tonight. Is he going to make it 5 here in Austin? 1 corner to go. Does he have enough left in the tank? Lawrence jumps just ahead of him. But as we go through the last corner, accelerate out of it. JR Mason's got it. fifth pole position.
What a lap! Not by a lot. Look how close it is. Just 600ths of a second from Lawrence there. And that's Mason's fifth pole this season. His qualifying performances have been godly all season long. Hasn't been able to translate it into any podiums yet, but you feel as though with the pace that he's showing, it's only a matter of time, really.
Looks to me like Joe, who was right up there towards the end of that lap, is invalidated because he's now going to start down in 14th place, I said. Yeah, what a lap from JR Mason. I'll let you quickly run through the order call.
Yeah, so Mason on pole then in Aston Martin. Then we have Lawrence, M125, Cam in fourth, Salo fifth, Matthias, Jamie, Cowboy, Funky, Ghost, Proverb, Jess, Rageman, and we have quite a lot of disqualifications of Joe, OKK, Skrillex, Dr. Mew, and Quinn.
So Rageman, 25 seconds off, so he's obviously had an incident during his lap, but because he finished it and set a lap time, he starts in 13th rather than 18th. So good on him. And the other thing, Cole, our two title contenders are starting at the moment, P2 and P3 alongside each other.
Yeah, brilliant. There's only 1 point separating them in the championship as well. So every small little position is going to really make a big difference. This championship really has echoes of 2021, where it feels as though it's going to go down to the last lap of the last race.
Yes, and you can see the rain in the pit lane as we eagerly await the drivers to decide what they're going to do strategy-wise. Expect to see, obviously, all of them start on the intermediate compound tyre. But it's set to approximate, so we don't know when this rain's going to stop. But obviously, due to the adaptive league weather system, we know that the clearer skies are coming at some point. You can see the fans cheering in the grandstand above the pit lane, and you can see just how steep the run up to turn one is, Colin.
Yeah, it's really deceiving, that. I saw a photo online which shows how really steep that first corner is. Such a difficult corner to find your braking zone, because the apex is almost blind when you turn in. So it's very tricky for the drivers to get that right. We saw Lando Norris have a fantastic start yesterday from fourth position. Wonder whether we're going to see any monster starts today. Obviously, it's going to be very slippy for them on the throttle with this rain that we have falling down.
Yes, and has anyone set their car up for the wet weather? Obviously, there'll be a new lobby after the sprint race, so potential for drivers to run a slightly different setup now to what they will run for the main race. Remains to be seen, and obviously a long straight, but no DRS in the wet weather, so how they deploy their ERS is going to be so important here if they want to get some overtakes done. But of course, traction, it's a tricky track for traction, particularly through the slow speed corners at the end of the start of Sector 3 and the Sector 2. So how are they going to fare in the wet weather when it becomes even more slippery?
Yeah, that's the thing, and I'm just looking down the pit lane as well, Nick, and you can see the safety car. Wonder whether that will make an appearance, and of course if it does, that means that dry weather will come a bit sooner. So this is the things that the drivers have got to think about now. Obviously they're all going to start off on the intermediate tyres, but is it going to get to a point where they're going to need and want to go on to the soft compounder tyres?
Well, we've got the formation lap to go through first, and we'll just bring you confirmation that everyone is on the intermediate tyres. Yes, they are. So there you go. And Quinn down in 18th place there. He'll be looking to jump up the order. Where's Cam? His teammate in 4th. So that's how the pit, whatever you want to call him. And this Sector 1 here, you can see a good open shot here. Left, right. It's fantastic. Obviously reminiscent of Silverstone, just a bit less grass.
Yeah, it really is. Very similar to Maggots and Beckett of the British Grand Prix in Silverstone. I'm really expecting some good things from Cam this evening. He is a bit of a wet weather specialist, our Cam. He obviously won that race in Spain a couple of races ago, brilliantly surviving the last few laps on dry tyres in increasingly wet conditions. So I really expect to see Cam fighting for this sprint victory tonight.
Yeah, Jamie up in 7th position. I think he'll be pretty satisfied with that. Matthias as well up in 6th. Cowboy in 8th position. Ghost, I think, has had a bit of an underwhelming season, sitting in 10th position here for the sprint race. And of course, the top 10 get reversed, Colin. So if you finish first, if you win this sprint race, you'll be starting 10th. That's before any engine penalties or stewarding penalties come into play. But yeah, just remember that the top 10 will be reversed.
Yes, so the battle for 10th place, I think, is going to be very, very fraught, because they know that if they do qualify in the top 10, they're going to be near the front of the grid then, obviously, for the main race. Whereas if you qualify 11th, then that's where you're going to start the race from. So Proverb currently in 11th place. Another great qualifying from Salo, who really has... his improvement since the first few races of the season has been astonishing, and yeah, hoping to see him have another good race as well.
Yeah, definitely. As we see, the drivers line up on the grid. Obviously, they have the challenge of getting it parked in their grid slot. If you see a DSQ pop up, it means they've overshot it, or it's gone red. So a few drivers having that. We're sitting on board here with Cam. He hasn't positioned his car. You get the opportunity to position your car slightly pointing in a certain direction, but he looks like he's kept it pretty straight. Yeah, what's Lawrence going to do? Are we going to get a good shot here? Not very, but let's see as the lights go out for the sprint and the top 2 get away. It looks like Lawrence has got a brilliant start, and he's alongside JR Mason already. Cam's up a position there as well. Your dad's dropped down to 4th now, so and everyone going slightly deep.
Oh, yeah, Mason's had an atrocious start, down 6 positions into 7th place. Lawrence, yet again, starting 2nd place. Oh, and his huge contact at the back of the grid.
There's a Mercedes off, hit some styrofoam. Yellow flags are flashing in Sector 1. As we see Jamie going down the inside. Was that a pass on the yellow flags? Or did they just end at that point? Not too sure. That was on the edge. And side by side through this corner, Rageman and Jamie, of course, both admin team members, and you'd expect nothing less from 2 great rivals. But Lawrence leads us away, M125 in 2nd. Lawrence has already pulled a 2.5 seconds on his championship rival.
Yes, I'm just looking now. Obviously, Mason is one of the big losers, dropping 6 positions from his pole spot. But Cowboy up 4 positions. Quinn up 4 positions as well. Don't forget, we also got a very, very close, excuse me, a very close Constructors' Championship. And the Ferraris up there in 2nd and 4th. That's really going to help their cause.
Running on board with this battle, Rage and Jamie, and OKK got involved in it. Sent it down the inside into the hairpin there. Wasn't able to get in position, but definitely turned Jamie from the attacker to the defender, and all behind Joe, Quinn. They're all over this battle here for 10th position. Of course, points awarded for the top 12 here at One Hub in the sprint races, and it looks to me like Proverb, does he have damage? Is he going to come into the pits? As he has a bit of a slide on entry there, struggling. Nope, nobody comes into the pits, so everyone's staying out.
Yes, I was just looking on board with Okeke then. He does have a damaged front left end plate, but he is making ground. It's not hurting him too much. He's got a little bit of understeer as Joe attacks him now, going round turn 1, heading towards turn 2. Just about stays ahead. But look at the gap that Lawrence has got out in front. 2.3 seconds. That's exactly what he needs to be doing at this stage.
Funky and Ghost getting a bit funky, shall we say. Rageman's caught up, so both RBs on the back of the McLaren man. Now a second behind, as you said, our pole sitter. So JR Mason settling in, and will he be able to use that speed that he showed to get pole position to move up the order? Where's Salou? He's on the back of Matthias, who's up 1 position as well. Salou, is he going to try and send it here into the hairpin? gets alongside, the majority of the car is ahead, slows the car down, but Matthias brakes later, turns in on him, I would say.
Yes, I think Matthias... Oh, he hits him again. Yeah, I think Matthias should have given Salo a lot more room there. Of course, we're in the wet conditions, so the DRS is not going to be enabled as of yet. So the overtakes need to be done under braking. You can see Salo is far quicker than Matthias, but struggling to overtake at this stage.
Yeah, I think we've said this before with Matthias. His spatial awareness when battling isn't the greatest. He has some raw speed, but he's been involved as Salo gets a big snap. Doesn't lose the position. Lawrence extends his lead to 2.5 seconds. He looks set, like he's comfortable. I think he was mega comfortable last sprint race when it was raining. Was it Baku?
Yes, it was. Yeah, he was really, really quick then as well. He really seems to revel in these wet conditions. As Funky now overtakes Ghost into 8th place. Good move there from the Cash App driver. Really good.
Yep, Ghost is going to follow him all through this section. You've got Joe B still on the back of Quinn, so those two not able to move up the order as quickly as they would have liked, I imagine. And we can see that Cam is still all over the back of M125. Let's jump on board here as Rage gets himself the first penalty of the evening. How important is this run onto the straight for Cam?
You can see that he's got plenty of ERS left. He's not using this, which I'm quite surprised at. I thought he'd want to use it to try and have a go down the inside. Has a little look, thinks better of it.
Look at the battle in the background. The other Ferrari up to 4th, and he's got Matthias, who taps him slightly, and then Salou just behind. All liners. So Salou's now trying to take advantage of that tap and go around the outside of Matthias. What's this going to end up like?
Oh, look at this, side by side. Diving down the inside. That's a really, really good move from Salo. Very impressive. And you can see he has actually lost a bit of his end plate as well. But it's not hurting him too much as he chases after Cowboy.
Yeah, Cam got ahead of M125 through that triple right-hander or whatever it's called, as Lawrence sets another fastest lap of the race to extend to 4 seconds. But yeah, Cam has got ahead of M125. So the Ferrari man perhaps losing more points to his championship rival here in this sprint race.
Yeah, this is really hotting up now. Now, can Cam do anything about Lawrence's 3.8 second lead? We're on lap 4 at the minute. It doesn't look like it's going to be drying up very quickly. It's still a lot of rain out there, Nick.
Yeah, it looks... Oh, I love this beautiful helicopter shot going through these S sections. And look at this, you've got 3 cars and then another 3 cars just so close together. They're about to become a 6, possibly 7 car train. Oh, as Rage has a bit of a... Was that Rage? Or Joe possibly has a bit of a moment. Dr. Mew gets a 3-second time penalty. Skrillex down there as well, just hanging on to the back of Okeke, just about 4 seconds. That gap covers the top 2, and Lawrence looks pretty comfortable, but we know the dry weather is coming. Currently it's still raining on lap 4.
Yes, and look at Ghost now. He's right on the back of Mason. Is he going to have a go down into the hairpin? He's thinking about it. Yeah, that's... Oh, they go side by side. Yeah, Mason's defended quite heavily. Just keeps ahead of him at this point. But looking at Lawrence, he's actually pulling away from Cam, and M125 is right back on the gearbox of Cam.
JR Mason and Ghost are having a fantastic battle through that Mickey Mouse section. They're still side by side. Is anyone going to back out? JR Mason's on the inside, and Ghost has to give him the room because you just can't hold the speed on the outside of the track there. So JR Mason giving it some welly in that middle section. Both boys keeping it clean. It's been a very clean race so far, all it has to be said.
Brilliant. The driving standards up and down the field have been really, really good. I would say the only one who is probably under a little bit of a warning, I suppose, would probably be Matthias, but you know, no damage done, and he's still there now, right on the back of Cowboy. There's still three together going through the first couple of S's.
And then look behind that. You can see this shot of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars all within DRS. Jamie's right in the middle of that, has the biggest gap, but look at this, Ghost is ahead at the moment, but it just seems JR Mason is quicker through the high-speed section, but Ghost perhaps has a bit more confidence in the braking zone.
Yes, oh, and Matthias gets a 3-second penalty. With the field so close, that's going to be crucial towards the end of the race. You know, you can see how bunched up everyone is, so it's really going to be quite crucial to avoid sort of penalties like that. Mason still right on the back of Ghost, having another look, defending really from Rage, as Rage goes round the outside. What a move that is from Rage, man. That is brilliant. Mason not giving up though, he decides he wants to hang it around the outside. Oh, Rage loses it.
That's like trying to hold a slippery fish that you've just caught. That's looked like what Rage is. But if you notice, Cole, it stopped raining. If you jump on board with any driver, the rain has stopped as Lawrence increases his lead to 4.5 seconds and sets another fastest lap here. The rain has stopped. When's it time for dries? Someone's in.
We got 2 drivers in the pit lane, but this is very, very early. Oh, as Matthias gets 10 seconds in the speeding in the pit lane. Now, what are the drivers going to do? We've still got 4 or 5 laps to go. Are they going to be able to catch that amount of time up on the drivers ahead of them? They're really going to have to gun it on the soft tyres, Nick.
They've all gone soft, so that's 5 drivers who are choosing to come into the pit lane. I think it's too early as we got a yellow flag in Sector 1. Where is that? That looks like an incident up into the braking zone. Matthias is struggling to keep his car in a straight line. I think it's too early, Colin.
I think you're right, Nick. I'm just looking on board now, and he's actually holding up the intermediate runners behind him. We know that it is going to be coming. He will be on the better tyre, but I think you're right, Nick. I think it's too soon.
You got Funky and Cowboy going side by side. Of course, no DRS until it's enabled by the game, and it establishes that it is ready for dry weather. But it is a long lap here, Colin. What they do in 1:45s, so there's a lot of time that could be gained potentially if you were to get it right. And there you go, DRS is enabled. Let's jump over to the leader. Lawrence, what's he going to do? Leader's coming in.
That's a big, big, big call from Lawrence. That really is. I don't envy these drivers actually having to make this decision. It's such a difficult. The top 3 are pitting. I suspect everyone else is going to follow suit now. But that's a lot of time to gain.
Sorry, Cole. Salu's the only one so far who stayed out. JR Mason's also stayed out. So just shows you, look how much time JR Mason lost off of the man that he started along the front row with.
Yes, that's right. You can see that he's come out. So obviously Lawrence now has made the perfect decision. I think Salo and Mason are going to really struggle now towards the end of the stint. I don't think they're now going to box. I think they've made the decision that they're going to stay out on these intermediate sets of tyres.
So you still got this lap plus 3 more, and you can see that the chunks Lawrence has already taken out of Salu. Time penalties are starting to come thick and fast, by the way, as now the only 2 drivers left on the intermediates are Salu and Mason. Jamie, by the way, has gone for the medium compounded tyre, so I know from practice he felt more comfortable, and I will tell you that the last 2 laps for all of these drivers who selected the softs are not going to be enjoyable. The rears are going to be overheating.
Yeah, I think Jamie might have played a blinder there. He's only half a second behind Quinn. If he can just stay in touch with these drivers, like you said, Nick, towards the end, he's really going to have quite a big advantage over those drivers. Yeah, you can see Lawrence is catching Salo, but I thought he would be catching him at a quicker pace. I think he is obviously going to catch him before the end of the race, but not as much as I was expecting.
Yeah, well, you've got Cam right behind Mason, but I mean, is Salu looking at this as I wouldn't have got if I would have been in 4th, 5th had I boxed, but now I'm going to potentially get a podium as Cam gets past into turn 1. Nice move there. Cam, nice late on the brakes, and Joe Mason's going to be under the attack from the Ferrari. But how the Ferrari, is he going to go for it here before the high-speed corners? Oh, what a move!
That was quite special from M125 there, but he really had to do it, because if you're stuck behind the driver on intermediate tyres through that section, you're going to lose an absolute ton of time. So that was really very, very important for M125 to get that move done.
Here you go.
Now, can Funky catch Mason? Can he do it?
Just to give you a bit of an update here, there was contact between Lawrence and Salou, and Salou actually has front end plate damage on his car. So, you know, even more so should he have boxed if he had that damage before, you know, the round of pit stops. But Quinn moving up ahead of Cowboy at the moment. DRS, of course, is enabled, and you are seeing these time penalties for track warnings starting to come into effect. But Lawrence looks set to absolutely dominate this one, unless he makes a mistake. But I think JR Mason has actually played possibly a good decision here, because if you think about it, what the gap Funky's got to gain is 7 seconds over 2 laps, 3.5 seconds a lap, doable possibly.
It is doable, but it's going to be very, very difficult. And don't forget, he's catching is one thing and overtaking is quite another. So not only does he have to catch him, he has to find a sensible place to overtake, as Cam is now reeling in Salou as M125 gets, I think that's his second warning,
his
actually.
Second. Yeah. And look at this battle going on for 8th position between these cars. Jamie's right in the middle once again, and Joe at the back of it, looking to take advantage.
Yeah, you look at the train we've got here. Joe right at the back of it, hoping that there's going to be a bit of chaos ahead to help the Williams driver. Jamie up there in 10th place. He's got Cowboy right behind him. He's had a bit of a disappointing end to this sprint race at the minute. That's a bit of a nudge there.
Did you see that between M125 and Salou? So Cam got past Salou, and M125 sent it late, touched his front tyre against Salou's side pod. Managed to get the move done, but of course M125 is going to lose his podium unless he gets 6 seconds up the road.
Yes, he's very obviously keen to push ahead now and try and eke out a little bit of time, you know, like we saw last week with Lawrence winning just about coming second, stretching out for the 10-second penalty that he had. But look at Funky now, he's only 1.5 seconds behind Mason, and Ghost is only another few seconds behind as well. Matthias there with his 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. He's gonna drop quite dramatically down the order, and look at the battle for 10th place.
This is crazy. They're going left and right. You can't tell who's trying to slipstream who, but the Ferrari looks like he's got ahead of Quinn. Jamie looks like he wants to attack. This lap is going to be where Jamie should be quicker on those medium compounded tyres, but as he left it too little too late. Can he do anything about this?
Yes, of course, there's going to be a bit of a DRS train amongst these drivers as well, which is going to make it extra difficult for Jamie. But Jamie knows if he gets 10th position, that's pole. That is pole for the feature race. So he's going to be desperate to pass Quinn. He's got very little, next to no ERS left. Quinn has 40%. So, and I think Cowboy's car is ghosted. Now, does that mean that he has left the session?
Yeah, it's come up on my screen. He's left the session as Funky gets ahead of JR Mason. What about Jamie? Nope, Jamie can't do anything. If anything, Jamie's under attack from Joe. Is Joe going to send it down the inside? Lap 10 out of lap 10. We're going to have to jump on board with the leaders here as Lawrence, with a 5-second lead over Cam, is coming out of the final corner. And Lawrence is going to win the sprint race here in Austin. Let's jump on board with Cam, who's going to follow behind in second place. What about penalties? How's this going to play? M125 finishes third on the road, but
it's going to be close.
He's kept it because Salou had a penalty, so I think it's going to stay as it was. Funky crosses the line. So Salou did finish fourth on those inter tyres. JR Mason takes 6th look at the gap between himself and Ghost.
Ghost, look at that. Absolutely brilliant. And I gotta say, I think Mason playing the blinder there. I don't think he would have been in 6th place if he boxed for soft tyres. And same as Salo, I don't think he would have been in 4th place either while boxing. So I think the drivers who stayed out on inters, I think they made the right decision. Jamie now, so actually crossed the line in 9th place, so he will start the feature race on the front row.
Yes, so obviously, as we said, points awarded for the top 12 in the sprint, from 12 points down to 1. But of course, the top 10 will get reversed. And then after the top 10's been reversed, then we will apply any stewarding and engine penalties. We will confirm with you in the break what the engine penalties are, why they have engine penalties, and Colt, would you like to do the honours of running through the order?
So our sprint race winner is Lawrence in the Alpine. Second is Cam, completing the sprint podium. M125 in the Ferrari. Then we have Salo, Funky, Mason, Ghost, Quinn, Jamie, Joe, Cowboy, Jess getting a point in the sprint race. Good result for Jess. Matthias in 13th, Proverb 14th, OKK 15th, Rage 16th, Skrillex 17th, and Dr. Mew in the Haas will finish the sprint in 18th place. So that was, so I'm just going to have a look now at which drivers are going to be taking their engine penalty. So obviously each driver this season has to do a minimum of 1 engine change, which will mean a 10-place grid penalty, Nick.
Yes, exactly that. They will, at some point, every driver has to take a new engine, because what we do at One Hub is we like to try and live the life of an F1 driver, and unfortunately, at some points, usually in F1, they have to take a new engine, and it involves a penalty. So the drivers will get a 10-place grid penalty when they take their engine, and they can decide when they want to take it midnight before the race. Ignore what you're going to see on the screen and this one shot, because there will be a lobby restart, of course, and then we will reverse the top 10 from the sprint, followed by applying these engine penalties.
Yes, that's right. So we do have 4 drivers who are going to be taking their engine penalties. That is M125, Funky, Joe, and Dr. Mew. So as soon as the reverse grid has been completed, that is when these 10-second penalties are going to be applied. So that is yeah, Matthias is now retired. Lovely job. Yeah, so those drivers are going to be 10 places further back. I think it's a very good decision to do it on this circuit. Plenty of chances to overtake. Nice long DRS straights as well, Nick. So I think it's a good decision for the drivers to take it here.
Yeah, definitely. I've taken mine further on in the P1 tier, and I know 8 other drivers in the P1 tier have. So in total, we've had 13 out of 40 drivers choose this race to take their engine penalty. Of course, things to consider, Colin, when taking engine penalty. You don't know, but will it rain? Obviously, if it does, then that's going to hamper your chances. No DRS, harder to overtake. Safety cars, how many safety cars will there be? Is there more likely to be safety cars at certain tracks than others? How easy is it to overtake at certain tracks? DRS zones, how many of them? Teammate, is your teammate taking the same track as you? So there's so many variables to consider, and that's the part that I love about the engine penalty system.
I think it's absolutely brilliant. I genuinely believe it's, I know I'm biased, obviously, but I think it's a fantastic addition to the season. I really think it makes a difference. It's a lot more interesting for the drivers as well. It's not just simply a case of start at the back of the grid. And of course, if multiple drivers would do that and not compete qualifying at all, then you could end up 13th. But the system we use now, I think really makes it more interesting and more realistic, Nick.
Yeah, of course. No one's car is gonna be able to go 12 races and never have any sort of mechanical issue, whether it be minor or race ending. So yeah, something that definitely perhaps we'll look to even expand on as seasons go on in the future. But 25 seasons in, what a journey it's been, and all the different features and things that we've added and tested and tried along the way. Of course, One Hub Racing, no stranger, Colin, to innovation.
No, that's the thing. We never stand still here at One Up. We're forever trying things, forever trying to improve it, make it more enjoyable for the drivers and more realistic for the drivers as best it can be as well. Um, Obviously, now there is news coming out from real Formula One that they are getting rid of the fastest lap point, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something I agree with personally. I think they should employ our system. I think they should do it so that a driver inside the top 10 gets the fastest lap point and a driver outside the top 10 gets the fastest lap point. And then it defeats kind of the issue as to kind of why they were getting rid of it in the first place, I think.
Yes, I'm surprised they haven't decided to do that because then it would give the lower teams who are struggling a little bit a chance to get some valid points. It'd be very interesting to see drivers at the end of the race at the back, both all fighting for the fastest lap point. So that would be very interesting. So what I'll do now, Nick, I will go through our championship standings very quickly.
Good idea, good idea.
So currently, now obviously this is not taking into account the sprint race that we've just had. This is results as of the end of round 8. So we have M125 currently leading the championship on 116 points. Lawrence in second on 115 points, so ridiculously close. Proverb currently rounding out the top 3 with 81 points. Ghosted fourth on 67. Mason then in fifth on 61. Giggle on 57. Funky on 54, as well as Jamie on 54 in seventh and eighth. Sallow on 46 points. Cam on 44. Quinn on 42. Jess on 42. Matthias on 42 as well. So ridiculously close down to the lower levels. Cowboy on 39. Skrillex on 31. Joe on 26. Rage on 18. And Shelby on 14. OKK with 6 points. And Dr. Mew 2 points. So Dr. Mew actually scoring his first points of the season last time out in what was the last track, Nick? My brain's turned off.
Portugal.
Portugal. So nice to see Dr. Mew gain his first points of the season.
Yeah, and just quickly to point out, Giggle on 57 points, the fact that he's only partaken in 4 races, one being a sprint, and he's currently in 6th and on 57 points is pretty impressive. Shows that he's got some speed. Unfortunately for him, he's missing tonight's race as well, so he will be kicked from the season. I don't see any point in or any reason in signing up, particularly when you have to pay for the league to join, and then not showing up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 races out of 9. Just a bit silly.
Yeah, and what's a shame for Giggle as well, Nick, is that if he didn't miss all those races, I genuinely believe that he would be fighting for, the top 3. All right, he might not have been near Lawrence and 125, but he certainly would have been near Proverb and the chance of a trophy at the end of the season. So big shame from Giggle there, to be honest.
Shall we jump over to manufacturers? And you were just saying earlier how there's 3 teams who you reckon can walk away with the top accolade here for the championship standings in the constructors.
Yes, exactly. So currently in the lead, we have the Ferrari drivers of M125 and Cowboy on 155 points. Then in second place, which is Skrillex and Lawrence, just 9 points behind them on 146. Then in third place, we have the McLaren drivers of Ghost And who is the other one? I'm just trying to think who the other McLaren driver is. I'll have a look in a sec. They are on 124 points, so really close between the top three. Then you've got Red Bull in fourth place on 96 points, Mercedes on 95 points, Williams on 93, Stake on 89, Visa Cash App RB, whatever you want to call them, 72 points. Ninth, then we have Aston Martin on 67, and in 10th place, Haas on 44. So both championships wide open at this point.
It was Giggle, the other McLaren driver, but as we said, he's hardly shown up, so that's probably why you don't remember him. But whilst we are waiting for the grid to be set up, so it'll be reverse top 10 from the sprint on these 18 drivers, and then the 4 drivers taking their engine penalties will have a 10-place grid penalty applied to their starting position. Jamie reckons that he's going to be on pole as Joe has taken a new engine, but we will confirm the exact grid with you once we load into the lobby. And I think we best take this opportunity, Colin, just to quickly run through our sponsors to say big thank you to them, as always, for all their support. Of course, we'll start with Next Level Racing, who are our main sponsors of the league, providing this season alone prizes over £2,000. So FGT Elites and the ERS seat. You got the FGT Cockpit, FGT Light, and the Wheel Stand 2.0. What one did your dad win, Cole?
So Dad won the FGT Light, which is absolutely brilliant piece of kit, ridiculously strong as well, considering it is a foldable seat. For Dad, he needed a seat as well. That was actually relatively easy to get in, like a GT style, and it's perfect for him. And he loves it.
Good stuff. And then, of course, you have Pure Sim Gear, who provide sim racing gloves or socks as a prize. Vespertine, who, of course, do all of our merchandise. And this season, for the first time in a while, you're going to be able to win One Hub t-shirts, hats, hoodies, all that type of stuff, depending on, of course, where you finish in the championship, and other ways to win prizes like the Going Gets Tough Awards. And then, of course, we are powered by SimGrid, who we run all of our championship seasons through, and drivers can sign up through SimGrid to join our seasons. I tell you what, Cole, we haven't actually spoken a lot about the Going Gets Tough Award, much on commentary this season. Perhaps we should.
It's probably my favourite award that we at One Hub do here. So the if I can say it, the Going Gets Tough award is given to the drivers who they turn up every week. So they race in every single race. They complete all their interviews that they do that are set on Discord, and then they get an opportunity then to win a prize. And I think it's a fantastic addition to the league, because if only the drivers who had the opportunity of getting podiums and wins would turn up every week, there wouldn't be any leagues. You'd be racing against 5 or 6 drivers every week, and that's it. We're very fortunate here at Monmouth, where we have very good attendance figures. You can see that we're up now. We got 18 drivers racing this evening, and it's a fantastic award. I've won it myself in the past as well, and I'm proudly showing it on my wall.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I introduced as one of the owners, Colin, because I feel, sometimes the drivers, as you said, who are further down the field, who don't often get up on the podium, they deserve their chance to win something. And some of the prizes for the Going Gets Tough Award over the seasons have been mega, sometimes even better than, finishing in the top 3. So it just shows you that, here at One Hub, we look after drivers of all abilities, not just the top quick ones. And that's something that we've been keen to kind of promote in recent seasons. Things like the pace cap and just things to make sure that drivers who aren't as quick, they have somewhere to look forward to racing, and they know they're going to get treated the same as the drivers who are challenging some of the leaderboards in the world.
Yes, exactly. I'm not going to mention any other leagues, but there are leagues out there who, and they only focus on their top guys. They're really, really quick ones. Um, and then the lower tiers are almost treated like second-class citizens. We don't do that here at OneHub. We treat everyone as equally as we can do. They're all treated the same, get the same opportunities as every single driver on that grid, from P1 to P2.
And with that being said, speaking of P2, we're about to load into the lobby. So once we've loaded in, we will confirm the qualifying, the starting grid. Of course, we had one shot quali, then the sprint, reverse the top 10, engine penalties applied, and then we will do a formation lap and get underway. Colin, what do we think here strategy wise? We know that the rear tyres tend to overheat and wear pretty quickly. Do you think drivers will stay away from the softs?
I would suspect so. I would say the only time I'm likely to see a soft runner, really speaking, is probably towards the end of the race. If there's a late safety car, for example. But having said that, I've seen drivers use the soft tyres to good effect in P2 in an early stint. Especially if drivers are thinking it's probably going to be an early safety car, so if I go on the softs, I could get a good start, gain a few places. But I suspect the majority of tyres we'll see will be the mediums and the hard tyres, Nick. Because, like you said, rear traction on this track is a nightmare.
And we can see, of course, that drivers will have to make the decision whether they want two hards or two mediums when they load into the lobby, and they have to select the batch of tyres that they get given. So you can go softer, balanced, or harder. And if they need two hards, they need to select the harder. If they want two mediums, they need to go for balanced. I don't think anyone will be going softer here tonight. But we are, of
No.
course, expecting a two-stop because it's mandatory at OneHub Racing. Will we see safety cars? Who knows? Will we see rain? We know it's not coming, just a bit of light cloud. And we know we've got 28 laps to decide the round 9 Austin, Texas winner.
Yes, I'm just looking at our Twitch chat now. A lovely message from Tony. Obviously, our P1 Championship leader at the minute. Had a great victory last week in Portugal, and Tony says, good community, never had a bad word to say about OneHub. Fantastic. Thank you very much for that, Tony. It really is appreciated. And good luck for your race this evening.
Yes, of course, the P1 tier will kick off at 6 p.m. tonight. So we haven't actually mentioned why we're usually just about to go live, Colin, but the tiers are an hour earlier tonight because we have the Austin race in real life on tonight at 8 p.m. So I'm sure all F1 fans and drivers racing tonight want to watch that. So the tiers were an hour earlier. I actually quite like it, slightly earlier, and then finishing off with racing round Texas in real life. I think it's a brilliant way to go.
Yeah, wasn't it nice of the real Formula One to copy our race? I thought it was a very nice touch from them. Um,
We just need to
but
get them to copy a few other things that we do, particularly our stewarding, maybe, eh?
yeah, that's very true. Yeah, but yeah, I think it's brilliant, and it makes me more excited not only for the P2 race but for the real Formula One as well. Yeah, I think it's a great buzz. Obviously, there's going to be a couple of drivers who are going to be not so happy when they're going to be watching the real Formula One later on this evening. Um, but I'm just looking down the grid, Nick. I can see all the front wings outside in the pit garages. How many of them are going to be needed to be used this evening? We saw a couple of end plates go missing in the sprint. And of course, we've got that run down towards turn 1. Or up to turn 1, I should say.
I was just about to say, yeah, it's so uphill. And as we mentioned earlier on stream, it sometimes helps, obviously, where you're slowing the car down because of the angle you're slowing it down at, but it means the apex is blind. So here we go. Formation lap will shortly get underway here in Austin, and we can see the grid. So, Colin, do you want to run us through?
Yes, so Jamie will start the race from pole position with Quinn completing the front row. Ghost then in the McLaren will start P3. Mason will start P4. Then we have Cam, Lawrence, Cowboy, Jess, Matthias, Proverb, Joe, OKK, Rageman, Skrillex, Funky, Salo. M125 will start this race in 17th. 11 places behind his championship rival, and Dr. Mew will start the race in 18th. So I expect to see some aggressive driving from M125.
Yeah, definitely. So down in 17th place, and as you mentioned, his championship rival Lawrence, who just won the sprint, is starting in 6th position. Jess and Matthias make contact, which means they're going to be sent back to the grid, and their tyres will be cooling down as we speak. But let's, speaking of tyres, let's get on. We can see that the top 4 are all starting on mediums. You've got the next 3, Cam, Lawrence and Cowboy, have gone aggressive on those softs, as has Skrillex and Funky and M125. Salu is the only driver to select the hard tyres to start with, and everyone else on the mediums.
Yeah, so Salo's going to really be struggling with tyre temperature for the first couple of laps of this race. Quite a brave call from the Williams driver there to choose the hard tyres. But his strategies, to be fair, for a inexperienced league race, I think his strategy calls have been pretty good this season. And I'm really hoping that he does come back to 1UP, because I think next season he could well be a championship contender.
Yes, most definitely. And we know that Quinn is loaded back into the lobby, but he reckons he's on a standard default setup, which he's not happy about. But we've got to go racing, unfortunately. We can't restart every time someone disconnects or has an issue, or the game, unfairly penalizes them or something. We can't just do that, especially because we're on a tight schedule, even more so tonight. But hey, we are about to get underway. Jamie on the front row with Quinn, who, as we said, will he be able to get back in that car? It's still showing as ghosted. But the 5 red lights, no DRS for the first lap, of course. Jamie is going to lead us away here in Austin, Texas. Cowboy boots, pedal to the metal, as some say, up to turn 1. You can see Ghost in the background there as well. J.R. Mason on the inside here. Jamie goes very deep.
I think he was quite fortunate. He's lost 2 places now. Ghost up into 2nd place. Jamie's going to be very, very disappointed. He just braked way too late, completely missing his braking point.
Yeah, that was unusual there from Jamie. He's usually calm and collective, but he went very deep. And let's bring you up. The positions changed. If I can find the right place that I want it to appear from. And you can see there, as we got yellow flags in Sector 2, Cowboys left the session again. He had that issue in the sprint race. OKK and Rage are your biggest losers, but otherwise not too many moving up or down the field, kind of 5+.
Yeah, quite a good start from the drivers as Lawrence goes down the inside of Mason. Mason hanging out around the outside, and Quinn, he's really had a great start. Now, considering that Quinn's got a default setup on, to be honest, I'm quite astonished that he's managed to keep it on the black stuff as well as he has, keeping Ghost nicely behind him. He's just looking on board Quinn now, and he's finding all the right pieces of tarmac, and he's driving exceptionally well for somebody with a default setup.
Yeah, well, we can see that someone's in the pit, says M125, so he must have got some sort of damage. Let's see if the front wing here is going to be changed. Yes, it is going to be changed. So started on those soft tyres, has now switched over to the medium compound. And having completed one of his mandatory 2 pit stops, so KK is also in. You've got a 10 seconds. He's going to need a new wing as well. I saw it missing. Didn't see what happened to it though. But at the moment, the Sauber hit team, whatever you want to call them, are 1st and 3rd. Jamie, who started in pole position, is in 4th. J.R. Mason in 5th. Lawrence in 6th. on those soft compounded tyres, and the field all nicely close. You can see Matthias and Jess getting a little bit tasty. Looks like Matthias had an incident and he's recovering.
Yes, I've just been looking at the chat now, and Lukey asked the question, Lawrence, wing damage. Yes, Lukey is dead right. I've just gone on board him, and Lawrence has lost his front left end plate. So, and this is a type of track in the dry where any sort of wing damage is going to lose you so much time. You can see that he's out of DRS from Mason ahead, despite being on those softer, more grippier, better lap time worth of tyres. So he's struggling. I'm surprised that he hasn't boxed actually, and changed his strategy to a certain degree, but he's persevering with that front wing damage.
So Quinn lost the lead on that last lap. Ghost is now in the lead. And Cam, are there going to be some team orders here before the Sauber team? Because those soft tyres aren't going to be good for too much longer. Jamie holding on to this battle as well.
Yeah, the two kick drivers, I don't think, I might be wrong, but I don't think they're actually in a party chat together. So I don't think there's going to be any communication between these two drivers. But is there going to be an agreement not to overly defend? I mean, we saw the two Ferrari drivers in the sprint race fighting tooth and nail in real Formula One, with Sainz and Leclerc battling pretty much for the entirety of the race, as Cam is right behind Quinn, as Quinn defends from Cam. Both you can see with their DRS open. Cam just ahead. I've got a terrible camera angle, but
yeah,
yes, he completes the move.
Yeah, because Ghost was starting to get away there. Quinn only just got the DRS detection point within a second, so oh God, what an awful camera angle. As Jamie now looks like he wants to get the job done on Quinn. The two Saubers, or kicks, whatever you want to call them. You can see Salou on those hard tyres up into 11th position. 3-second warning for Quinn. And who's that in the background spinning around? That is Skrillex, I think. And who else is off? Proverbs off. And Rageman up into 14th place. So I'm not sure what happened there. Lawrence comes into the pits.
Yes, I'm not surprised about that, because he was losing ground to the drivers ahead of him with the front wing damage that he's got. So I'm expecting to see this front wing change. Yes, there you can. His front wing is being changed. Now I'm just waiting to see what tyres he's decided to go on.
Mediums.
He's being held for a very, very long time in the pit lane.
He's going to come out close to his championship rival here, M125, who's also completed a pit stop with a front wing change and is also on the medium compounded tyres.
Yes, look at this. The two, who saw this coming? The two championship contenders in 16th and 17th after 4 laps. M125 right now, he's just outside DRS. Is he going to be able to claw it back? Lawrence now, obviously. Oh, I thought M125 had lost it there, but just about caught it.
Salou is about to take another victim from those hard compounded tyres. So down the inside, a little bit of a lock-up. And I tell you who else was having a good battle there that I was riding on board with was Proverb and Skrillex through the first sector, dicing away. Cowboy still trying to get back into his car, currently in 11th position. So KK's into the pits for a second stop. He'll be hoping for a safety car, that's for sure. Quinn, the only driver so far to have a penalty that Jamie can't get past. Cam's in.
Yes, he's right behind him as Cam's in the pit lane. Yeah, Cam's in the pit lane. So only 4 laps on the soft tyres. So they're going to have to stretch their next sort of tyres quite a considerable distance. Now that's an interesting call. Cam has chosen to go on the hard compound of tyres and stretch these tyres out. But look at Salo up there in 8th. After starting on the hard compound of tyre, he's really showing some great pace. And is catching Jess up ahead as well.
Yes, Dr. Mew currently behind Cowboy, who is now back in his car. So Good job to Cowboy for getting back in. Lost a lot of time there. But Cam currently out in 10th place. So that just shows you Cam was on the same strategy as Lawrence and M125. But without that wing change, look how many positions further up the road.
Yeah, you can see, and I did notice he was held for quite a considerable amount of time in the pit lane as well. I don't know whether he was struggling to find first gear, because obviously you engage and disengage the clutch to release out the pit lane. I don't know whether he was struggling a little bit with that, but or whether it was a game issue, but he was held for quite a considerable amount of time as Jamie and Quinn are fighting for the second place, and Jamie is past the kick driver.
Yeah, as much as I don't like driving that kind of slow speed section personally, it does provide the chance for a driver who's just perhaps been overtaken down the main straight to sling it up the inside, as we saw in real F1 yesterday in the sprint. But is Quinn going to have a go at Jamie here? We got yellow flags in sector 3. Not sure what that's for, as Funky and Salu are battling for position. Don't know what those yellow flags were for.
I think it was for Funky for running wide. I think, has he got damage? I'm not sure whether he has. Yes, Funky has front wing damage, so I don't know whether he lost it and clipped a wall. I think it might have been out of the last corner, I think, to be honest. But that's another driver now who's going to struggle, as Matthias gets a 3-second time penalty. Now this is where these time penalties are going to be crucial.
Look at these 5 cars in Sector 1, from Rageman down to M125. Oh, and down the inside squeezes Proverb. What a move that was.
That was absolutely stunning. I just caught it right at the end. Proverb now, and he's having another go. He's having another fight now, and he's down the inside of Matthias as well. What a couple of corners that is from Proverb. And to be honest, he does need it, because he had a bit of a nightmare of a sprint.
Yeah, and look at now Dr. Muse being passed by one of the Ferraris. The other one, Cowboy, still on those soft compounded tyres. And now the battle goes between the Mercedes and the Haas driver. It's all happening down here, down the back of the field. Still good entertainment for us as Quinn gets back past Jamie, by the way, on that last lap. This back marker over KK, I think, is messing up some DRS, but all part of the game here. And he's got some good pace if he's able to hold on to this DRS train. Funky's in the pits off those soft compounded tyres, such as Skrillex and Cowboy, the 2 remaining cars on the red banded tyres.
Yeah, so let's see if Funky changes his front wing, because he obviously got that end plate damage. Yes, he is. So he is changing that front wing as he decides to go for the medium compound of tyres. So he's going to plummet down the order. And really, he's going to be hoping for a safety car now at this stage. But Salo's still doing really well on those hard compounder tyres, and it's not going to be long, and those hard compounder tyres are going to be in a better condition than the mediums.
Yeah, and Ghost, by the way, has got a 5-second lead because of this battle between Quinn and Jamie, and JR Mason's just got involved with it, so he's gone down the inside of Jamie to now take 3rd position, and he wants fancies a crack at the Sauber kick of Quinn, who we know doesn't have a setup, but is currently running in 2nd place and doing a brilliant job defending.
I'm really, really impressed with Quinn at the minute. You know, we know he's running a default setup, and he's not using too much of his reserves. In fact, he's hardly used any. He's got 82%. Mason behind him, only 11. Jamie behind him, only 16. So Quinn is doing a tremendous job here as Jamie boxes. Jamie is now in the pit lane. Does he slow it down just in time? Well, I think that was quite close. I think that was very close. And Jamie elects to go on another set of mediums.
Yeah, Justice having a good race here, up into 6th position now. Yellow flags in sector 3. What is that for this time? That is Rageman, who's completely lost his wing. No safety car yet here tonight, by the way, but Rageman's lost his wing. He's going to need to come in, going completely wide there in the final section of the track. Wide again, and will he make it into the pits and get the car slowed down without hitting that barrier? Yes, he will, and he'll be able to continue on.
Yes, and he avoids a 10-second penalty as well, which I've seen so often this season when drivers have lost their front wing. They misjudge the braking line into the pit lane and gain a 10-second penalty. So a bit of a shame from Rage. He had a really great sprint race, and the game has elected not to change his front wing.
Oh, he must have had it set to no for that much damage.
He
must have it changed.
So that's really going to put pay to a good result from Rage. That's a real shame, that is, from Rage. Yeah, I think you're right, Nick. He must have set that to no unintentionally. So he's got a whole lap to do with his entire front wing missing.
Here comes Funky on Cowboy. Cowboy on that 7-lap-old red banded tyres. Not something I'd want to be on, but down the outside into the braking zone, and it's an easy move. Quinn, by the way, into the pits from those medium compounded tyres.
Yes, so what tyres are these drivers going to elect for? Now we've got 3 drivers in the pits. Quinn is going on to a set of softs, did I see there? Oh, it's a hard tyres, sorry.
Hard for J.R. Mason, hard for Quinn, and who was the other one that came in? Jess
gone for the medium tyres. So look at the undercut. Look at the huge undercut that Jamie's got now. Look how far ahead he is of Mason and Quinn. He's really jumped them, so that was a really good decision there by the Red Bull driver.
Yeah, the undercut is pretty powerful here. But interestingly as well, Lawrence is out of sync with these guys, but he has caught up to him. So now if he can stay within the DRS train, he'll be able to bring himself hopefully a little bit back into this race, as we see Matthias going down the inside and passing Joe for second place. Ghost looks in control still. I was saying he's had an underwhelming season. He's here to shove that in my face, as he's almost got a 7-second lead. Cam gets ahead of Salu, who's off the track. Looks like the rear is snapping on him a little bit. I think those tyres might be overheated.
Yeah, I think he's struggling now on his hard tyres, which I'm surprised because they're only 8 laps old. But yeah, maybe he's overheated them a little bit. So that's not going to do him any favours now, as we have the second Williams into the pit lane. And that's Joe completing his first pit stop. So who have we got? So the only drivers left to pit are Ghost, Matthias, Salo, Dr. Mew and Cowboy. Rageman and OKK have both done 2 pit stops, but they are at the back of the field.
So Salu has come into the pits off of those hard compound tyres. So is this going to be a medium and then to another hard, or is he gone? No, he's gone for another hard compound tyre. So he's going 2 hards and a soft. Yellow flags in sector 2. And you can see quite a few drivers with penalties as well already.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of penalties out there, and we're not even halfway into this Grand Prix yet. So the drivers are going to... And that's Cowboy out. Cowboy has DNF from this race.
That's in the pit lane. That's in the pit lane, he's DNF. So, decided he doesn't fancy it anymore. Up to him. But no safety cars yet, which I'm surprised we haven't seen. I don't think too big of an accident into the wall where it's taken a car out. But I feel like a safety car, might spice this race up a little bit.
Certainly will. Ghost will not want one. That's a fact, because he's now got a beautiful 6.5-second lead, which, to be honest, is more like a 9.5-second lead, because Matthias does have a 3-second time penalty. So he is driving out of his skin at the moment. Driver, I believe, is in 5th in the championship as well. He's not too far off the back of Mason and Proverb for that 3rd place, with Proverb down in 13th. So this is crucial for his championship.
Yeah, so a pit stop here as M125 left the sessions, rejoining. A pit stop here, Cole, you're looking about 19 seconds, which isn't too bad. But the undercut is worth so much, and you can see that Cam, who pitted 6 laps ago, is only now 12 seconds behind Ghost. Of course, Ghost will get those fresher tyres when he does decide to come into the pits, which I suspect will be this lap. I can't see why you'd want to go too much longer unless he's trying to do 2 mediums and a soft run. Joe all over the back of Quinn here, by the way, who's on the hard compounded tyre.
Yeah, Joe's doing very, very well here. Obviously, he's a relatively new addition to the league, taken over that second Williams spot, and he's now in DRS of Quinn, ahead of him on those faster mediums. Is he going to have a go down the inside? Not quite far enough. Sorry, not quite close enough behind the back of the Kick Sauber driver. Quinn's really having a tremendous race. You can see, yes, he has got that default setup, but his straight line speed is astonishing.
Yeah, I think that Joe there perhaps pulled out of the slipstream slightly too early, expecting the momentum to carry him into at least alongside into the braking zone. And Jess, by the way, is all over the back of M125, who looks to be back in the car. These are the two only battles within a second, which is surprising. Usually you get a bit of a DRS stream here in Austin, but the gaps are opening up. Here goes Quinn and Joe side by side into turn one. Joe gets the job done, but Quinn will, I'm sure, be able to hang on to the back of that Williams and try and get back at him.
Yeah, he's only got 40% of his ERS left. Joe only with 19% left, so will he use a little bit of his ERS to try and stay in touch with the DRS? But he's already out. He's already outside that 1 second window, with now Matthias hunting down Quinn. So he's having a bit of a struggle. And another driver having a bit of a struggle is M125. Now I know that he has rejoined the car, you can see that, but Jess is all over the back of M125.
Yellow flag, sector 2, not sure who's that for. Matthias is about to get the job done on Quinn, so Quinn now starting to pull down the order, and Quinn doesn't hold it around the outside, tries to do the switch back, but it looks like on those harder compounded tyres, he just can't put up a fight against these medium runners, which is understandable, to be honest.
It is. It's, I think his race... Yes, Ghost is now in the pit lane. That's a long time to go on those medium tyres. 12 laps. Quite a considerable distance. Goes for another set of mediums now.
So I suspect he's going medium, soft here, Cole.
Yes, I would say so. But of course, he's going to drop quite considerably, despite he had a great lead. But of course, the other drivers on fresher tyres would have been pulling out quite considerable time on him as he just comes out in front of Joe as M125 gets another time penalty.
Yeah, so Joe just behind now Ghost. So Ghost has lost 3 positions, but look how his tyres are going to be so much fresher. 5 laps than Jamie's, 8 laps over Cam's, and 9 laps over Lawrence's. So you'd expect him to be able to, once he gets these tyres up to temperature, close and absolutely use the advantage of the tyres to get past.
Yes, that's right. Oh, as Rageman has DNF'd. I don't know whether that was on track, off track. I couldn't tell from this angle. But that is our second DNF of the race. No safety car. I'm just looking down now, and I think Jess is about to overtake the Ferrari driver of M125. She is right behind the Ferrari driver. Is she going to have a go?
To send it. Speaking of sending it, Salou gets past Funky, the driver favouring those hard compounded tyres so far here tonight. But I'd say those drivers who are on the hard compounded tyres are struggling a little bit compared to the medium runners.
It does seem that way. I'm thinking that they've got a little bit of warm-up issues maybe, but they just don't seem to have the grip that the medium tyres have got. I have previous races that the difference between the mediums and the hards hasn't been that dramatic, but it seems here that it is quite, as M125 pits from 9th position on his 11 lap old, or now 12 lap old mediums. This, I'm just going to see how many pit stops he has completed. This is his second pit stop, and he goes back out now on a set of hard tyres.
So he'll be going to the end as we got yellow flags in sector 1, still no safety car. And you can see that Ghost is all over the back of Lawrence. So Cam's in a good position here on those hards because he's going to be able to run the mediums again in the last stint. But if you look at this, you're going to see that Ghost has just got past Lawrence. Was that under yellow flags? I'm not too sure where they were flashing exactly. No, I can see green in the background there. So I think that was perfectly fine. And who's this? Joe gets past as well. So Lawrence losing 2 positions down that straight.
Yes, and another person who's losing positions is Quinn. Quinn has had an accident. I think that's what the yellow flags were for. He has got no front wing. Absolutely not a stitch of it. So he's going to have to box, and he's going to struggle now in the last sector of the lap just to keep it on the black stuff. So that's really his race now. Unfortunately, a consequence, I believe, of the default setup, but was driving exceptionally well up until that point. Obviously, nothing's over yet.
Lawrence is in for his second stop, by the way.
Yes, so what is Lawrence going to choose?
Gotta
yeah, he's
be the
gone on the hard tyre. Yes, so hard tyre for Lawrence.
Ghost
And this
already.
race is really heating up now, We're getting into the meat of it. You can see the drivers now. They're starting to make the odd mistake. As Quinn is out of the race, I think he's probably retired in the pit lane, has he?
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah, had a good race to start, a good first stint. He was able to keep behind on that default setup, keep the drivers behind, but unfortunately, as you said, the spin was probably a consequence of not being able to load the setup, which is really important here. But let's jump back over to Ghost, who's about to try and get second place off of Jamie. All this, meanwhile, has helped Cam get over an 8-second lead.
Yeah, all this fighting now has really played beautifully into Cam's hands here on those 10-lap old hards. Ghost just fighting with Jamie, just makes the move now. Ghost really has had a tremendous race this race, same as Jamie. It's I would say it's Jamie's best race of the season by far, fighting for the podium positions with 2 drivers behind him with a time penalty.
Yes, and who's that coming into the pits? Is that Jamie? Jamie's coming in, I think. Yep, he's going to go for a set of hard compound tyres to the end of the race. And yeah, as we continue on, lap 16 out of 28. We are 2/3 of the race through, and JR Mason getting ahead there. So let's just have a quick look, Cole. Who's completed their mandatory 2 stop? Jamie has. This will be coming out.
Jess is about to complete her mandatory pit stop. Lawrence has as well. M125 and OKK. So a double stack then from the Red Bull drivers. We know that they're in a party chat together. Very good friends, Jess and Jamie. Obviously, admin as well of OneHub, and they're having, to be honest, a fantastic race so far.
I'll tell you who else is having a good race is Matthias, about to take 3rd position off of Joe. Those medium compound tyres working well for the Haas man. Of course, Haas's home Grand Prix here, one of them anyway, Grand Prix here in Austin, Texas. And in real life sporting a new livery for this weekend, which looks always pretty cool, I think. You can see M125 had a bit of a race to forget, hasn't he? But he's just going to hope that perhaps he can minimise the damage done to his championship lead by Lawrence in this race.
Yes, I might be completely wrong here, but M125 is usually, his race pace is exceptional. I'm wondering, was M125 another driver that forgot to load his setup, possibly? And that might account for his poor pace by his standards.
So Ghost back into the lead, pulling Matthias nicely along, it has to be said, in second position. And then you've got JR Mason on those hard compounded tyres, only 8 lap old, so it depends. Some of these drivers could go for the softs in the last stint, Cole.
They could well do, and they will have some tremendous pace, but they don't last very long. So if they are going to elect to do it, they're going to have to do it quite late into this race. Or Salo gets a 3-second penalty. So let's have a look. So who have we got? We got Matthias, Salo, Lawrence, Joe, Funky and Dr. Mew on 3 seconds of penalties. M125 has 6 seconds of penalties, and unfortunately OKK in 15th place has 12.
Yeah, poor OKK hasn't had much luck. He's one of the drivers that I think has the least luck out of everyone. But he's such a nice guy that you just kind of you wish you could just will him on and get him some points with just your pure willpower. But speaking of willpower, Lawrence is on the back of Jamie here, and Jamie in 5th position, defending from these 3 cars behind. Matthias, by the way, is close within 1 second. In fact, half a second of Ghost. So he really does have some pace here, Matthias.
Matthias really has some tremendous pace in most races. Unfortunately for Matthias, his wheel-to-wheel skills aren't really good enough to be able to consistently get great results. But let's just hope now that he can make a nice clean maneuver on Ghost, because he seems to have the pace. He's just got to be a bit patient, plan his maneuvers a little bit, and he could have a great result this evening.
Joe gets ahead of Salou for 7th and 8th place. So those hard tyres really hasn't worked out for Salou. Just hasn't had the pace that I expected him to have. But let's jump on board with the top 2, because look at this. Just under half a second here. Is Matthias going to have a go for it?
Thinking about it, I don't think he's quite close enough. Having said that, look at the pace he's gained on him. He's down the inside and makes the manoeuvre stick. What a lovely manoeuvre from Matthias there. That is brilliant. Now, has he got the pace to keep ahead of Ghost? Obviously, Matthias does have that 3-second time penalty, so he's going to have to get a wiggle on, really, and put his foot down. But the pace he's showing in this race is fantastic from the Haas driver. There's a lot of drivers out here tonight who are having their best drives of the season, and he is one of them. Oh, as Matthias gets another penalty. So that's 6 seconds for the Haas driver. That's going to be crucial.
Yeah, I tell you what's interesting is that he's on 2 lap younger medium tyres than Ghost, and obviously we know how important fresher compound tyres here. As is Ghost going to try and get the job done again as we head through the high speed section. Nothing you can do until the next DRS zone, usually, unless he finds a way past Cam, by the way, all on the back, literally pushing JR Mason through this high speed section.
Yeah, Mason on those 10-lap old hard tyres. I suspect he'll be boxing sometime soon, because they would be not in the greatest of states. Cam really desperate to make the manoeuvre. Is he going to have a go down the inside of the hairpin? No, waits for the DRS. Yeah, you can see the understeer that Mason has got into that hairpin. Cam with his DRS wide open, and the manoeuvre already done before the braking zone.
What I just want to point out with the pass you just saw there, do you see how much room Cam gave JR Mason? There's no need to, when you pass on a big wide straight like that, just be so close, because you're racing with people sometimes across the world, and the slightest little nudge or connection issue can just take both cars out of the race. And so Cam's showing his experience there, using all of the track and getting the job done.
Yes, this is the thing. This is where the experience matters so much for these league races. Exactly like you said there, Nick. If Mason had a little bit of a wiggle and Cam was right alongside of him, it could have been the end of both drivers' race. There's no need to go that close. And Cam's showing his great experience, not only within one-up but in league racing in general, and he's having a stormer of an evening.
Oh, Matthias is absolutely hurrying Ghost along through this high-speed section. The way he was almost pushing the McLaren driver through was incredible without losing the downforce, front downforce. Joe, by the way, very close to the back of Jamie. I'm just showing you on the screen. There's five drivers who haven't completed the mandatory two-stop yet, and I imagine they're going to be rapid. So Ghost in the lead, but is he in the net lead? We don't know. I think Cam is in the net lead, but will he be able to hold it on? He's still got another 8 laps to do on those mediums, which have already done 3.
Yes, that's the trick. That's the thing. You know, that's quite a long time to go on medium tyres, but he seems to be coping well enough. But really speaking, this battle between Matthias and Ghost isn't really helping either driver. It's just bringing other drivers back in the hunt. We obviously missed Ghost actually overtaking Matthias, because we saw that Matthias had the move done, and then a couple of laps later, Ghost back in the lead, and you can see he's still within DRS.
Funky gets ahead of Jess into the braking zone. Jess gives him room, of course, as you'd expect from a great driver like Jess. Gerald Mason now pulls the trigger, and he's coming in to the pits. I know the offset, we saw how much the drivers were able to undercut Ghost on that opening stint when he stayed out 12 laps on those medium tyres. So the same thing is going to happen towards the end of this race, Cole.
Yes, definitely. You know, when you're on the undercut as well, you know, the fresh tyre difference that you get. And of course, there's actually a tyre delta difference as well. So these late boxing runners are going to have so much pace in their pocket to be able to use. It's going to be a very, very interesting race towards the end of this, because what have we got now? 7 laps to go. These late runners, I'm still surprised that Ghost and Matthias are still at it.
Yeah, so is M125 and JR Mason. M125 just backs off there. But JR Mason came out just ahead. So JR Mason in 11th place. And how much, it's an 11-second gap to these cars ahead who are going to the end. Is he going to be able to take advantage? Yellow flags in sector 2.
What is that for? I'm just trying to see now if there's any movement. I can't see anything, actually. I think it's OKK. I think OKK's had an off.
Ooh, so Matthias,
unfortunately.
Sorry, Cole. Matthias has gone into the pits, almost hits the wall, but just keeps it out. So Ghost, I think Ghost is definitely going on soft tyres of the last stint, because he's on 9 lap old. He took the first ones 12. He's probably going to take these 11, maybe 12, and then go on to a set of red compound tyres. But I just don't think he's going to have enough to gain back on Cam.
No, I don't think so either, despite the strong pace that Matthias has been showing this evening, and the same as Ghost. Cam Ghost, because what's he got? He's only got 2-second lead over Cam, and yet to box as well. And don't forget, all the drivers behind him are going to be catching him. He's going to have to do a lot of overtaking on those fresh softs, Nick.
Yeah, I tell you who's having a good ding-dong battle, and that's Jamie and Joe, both Jays. They've been following each other for quite some time. Jamie's been able to keep Joe behind. Similar strategies that they've gone through tonight. But yeah, the gap down to 2.5 seconds between Cam and Ghost. So I do think that going long like Ghost did, it hasn't worked out for him in the end. The undercut's been too powerful, and it's perhaps too much to gain back. I'm sure he will be rapid, but just a case of how much as Joe gets past Jamie, and that's for 4th and 5th position here tonight.
Yes, I'm just a little bit nervous that Ghost thinks he's completed 2 pit stops and has only done the 1. I'm hoping that I'm wrong and that he's just holding out to go on the soft tyres for the last few laps. Maybe. Yep. Thank heavens for that. He's in the pit lane.
So, Matthias also went on those soft compounded tyres, so let's see. I'd expect that Matthias is going to get ahead of Ghost here, but as we said, these soft tyres are horrible the last couple laps.
Yeah, they're going to be really struggling. Matthias, I think Ghost should be okay, but he's going to be definitely struggling. But Matthias, you know, he boxed a little bit earlier. Yeah, you can see that he has come out ahead of the McLaren driver. But he has got 6 seconds of penalties, the same as Lawrence.
So 5 laps Matthias and Ghost are about 17, 16 seconds off the lead. How much can they gain on the cars in front? How much? I think Cam's got this one in the bag. Obviously, second and third have penalties. Jamie hoping to take advantage of that. Matthias has a penalty himself, so J.R. Mason perhaps going to get involved on those medium compounded tyres. All to play here, Cole. Lap 23 out of 28.
Yes, not long to go now. Now this is going to be the point where the drivers are going to be very, very worried about any further time penalties they're going to get as well. Jamie still having a good fight with... I'm just looking... it was Dr. Mew. Yeah, Dr. Mew was ghosted. Obviously, he's a lap down on these drivers, so he'll be moving out of the way. But yeah, Ghost now, look, right on the back of Matthias. Having a ding-dong battle, really, throughout this race, and they're back together again as Joe gets another 3 seconds. That's another driver on 6 seconds of penalties.
They're closing in on Jamie pretty quickly, and speaking of closing in, Funky gets the job done on Salou to move up to 9th position. So that battle happening down the main straight, and Ghost hanging on to the back of Matthias here. Perhaps just easing those. A fair play to Dr. Me, who just got out the way really well there into the braking zone of turn 1. And yeah, Jamie's going to be under threat here from these two soft runners.
Yes, he is, certainly. He's going to be hoping that those two soft runners behind their tyres are going to wear as quickly as possible. Jamie having the race of his season so far, without a shadow of a doubt. Jess there in the points as well, in 11th place, so that's good points for the Red Bull team. But yeah, I can see Jamie be coming under quite a lot of pressure. Now, but can Ghost and Matthias, can they catch up to the likes of Jamie and even Lawrence with 4 laps to go?
I think Ghost is definitely in a strong position because he doesn't have penalties. Matthias has 6 seconds, Joe has 6 seconds, Lawrence has 6 seconds, M125 has 9, Salou has 3, Funky has 6, Proverb has 3, Dr. Mew has 3, and KK is trying to set a record with 24. And you can see Salou now getting back ahead of Funky the following lap. So good battle from these pair. That's what we love to see.
Yeah, these two, another pair of drivers who've had a race-long battle. Salou on those 3-lap-old medium tyres, Funky on 5-lap-old medium tyres, and they're really fighting tooth and nail for the last couple of points. Oh, I thought Funky was going to lose it then. But he did catch the car. So looking back at the top now, and you can see that Ghost and Matthias are now right on the back of Jamie.
If I was Jamie, I wouldn't fight this too hard, and I would just try and stay within their DRS and try and be pulled along, because you know you're going to lose the position to Ghost on these fresh softs. Will you lose the position to Matthias? Probably not, because of the penalties. And they could pull him closer towards Lawrence and Joe, who also have 6 seconds of penalties.
Exactly. So this is, I think you're going to see, yeah, you can see Jamie there. He's not fighting too much, although he is squeezing M1 to Matthias, a little bit. Matthias gets the manoeuvre done. Jamie now down to 5th place with Ghost right behind Jamie. Now I expect that Jamie will fight this position a little bit harder.
Yeah, Ghost has got to get on with it here, because if Matthias is able to get far enough up the road, then Ghost won't be able to be pulled along in that DRS.
No, that's right. He's really going to want to overtake Jamie as soon as possible. And OKK's been disqualified from the session for receiving too many time penalties. We don't see that very often, to be honest. But poor old OKK with no points again this season, as Jamie's down the inside, Ghost inside of Jamie.
Sorry, I was riding on board there. Nice move there, and a little battle between Proverb and Jess as well for 11th and 12th position. Jess now 2 tenths behind the Mercedes man, and as you said, Ghost is ahead of Jamie now. So will Jamie try and hold on to this DRS and Ghost is ever so desperately trying to stay within the DRS himself. Just goes over just under a second. I think he's got away with it there. He's going to be using that rear-wing flap as we head down the main straight, and you can see Joe is not too far in the distance.
Going to have a little look now. Let me just remind myself, yes, the 3 drivers in second, third and fourth, they've all got 6 seconds of penalties. So it's all for position. But Matthias has got Ghost to deal with. Ghost right behind Matthias. I think if I was Ghost, I would probably hold fire on attacking Matthias too much and try and get a little bit closer to the back of the drivers ahead. Although at this stage, Ghost, really speaking, is in a he's in a P2 slot at this stage.
I was just about to say, yeah, just is hovering on what 5.5 seconds at the moment, 6 seconds. So providing Matthias keeps up this pace, Ghost can just kind of follow him along and finish in second. I think Jamie, if he's able to do the same, would finish in third position. Skrillex, I think, just coming out the pits, ready to try and get the fastest lap of the race outside the top 10. Of course, we award 2 fastest lap points here in one hub, and this overhead camera shot of this first sector is absolutely beautiful. I can't wait to drive round it in approximately 20 odd minutes. The P1 tier starts. We'll have Jess and Mike in the comms box. Proverb from 11th place coming into the pits, so Jess moves up. Proverb and Skrillex are going to be battling it out here for the fastest lap.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Proverb decided to box there. He maybe wasn't feeling confident of keeping Jess behind him. So he's thinking, well, if I can get a fastest lap point now, then that will stop that as Ghost overtakes Matthias in the DRS straight.
John is catching Jamie pretty quickly as well. Just over a second a lap. Is he going to be able to do anything and get in on this? Will he take advantage of the penalty situation above? Is Ghost close enough to the top 2 to take advantage and get second place? I think he is just.
It's going to be very, 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 very close. But look, Ghost is, they are catching Joe, but they're fighting too much. But like you said, that it's not really going to matter because he's got the time penalties. He doesn't need to fight Matthias too hard. Matthias obviously needs to get a move on as much as possible because of that huge 6 seconds that he's going to lose. And you're right, look how close Mason is now. He's under 2 seconds behind Jamie.
Salou, by the way, has currently got the fastest lap inside the top 10, so he'll be getting a point for that unless anyone in the top 10 is able to beat it. Cam, by the way, has had his gap. I know he's on the last lap, but had the gap come down about 2 seconds over the last few laps. Perhaps he's just driving nice and comfortable. Doesn't need to take any risks. This will be lap 12 on those medium compounded tyres. But who's going to finish on the podium?
Yeah, this is going to be tight. You can now see that Jamie and Mason, they are really catching Matthias and Ghost now. I think their tyres are getting a little bit more worn towards the end of this race now. They've done 5 and 6 laps as Matthias goes down the inside of Ghost.
This is costing Ghost more than Matthias, and they bang wheels.
Look at that, side by side. Ghost just about stays ahead.
Anyway, so I was just going to jump on board with Cam because whilst this is all happening, you can see the checkered flag in the top right-hand side of your screen being waved. Cam's going to come across the line to win in Austin in the P2 tier. Who's going to finish on the podium, Colt? Can you call it? Lawrence crosses the line in second at the moment. Joe crosses the line in third. Where's Ghost going to jump to? Oh, third place. Jamie takes fourth.
Jamie fourth, Mason in fifth, Joe in sixth. You can see the 6 seconds from Matthias drops him down to 7th place.
Salou should get 8th here, I think, with M125's 9 seconds of penalties. Nope. Finishes behind, but does get the fastest lap. Is the fastest lap going to be set by Proverb or Skrillex? Skrillex is 1.5 seconds up. Proverb is only half a second up.
So let's see who's going to get this fast lap. I suspect that lap from Proverb will be the fastest lap, and then we'll have to wait for Skrillex to come around. Let's see if this is the fastest lap of the race for the Mercedes driver. Yes, it was. So let's see now if Skrillex will be able to beat that. We'll have to wait until we get back to the main screen, unfortunately.
Well, what a race that was, Cole, and we'll bring you the full result screens shortly after the podium celebration. Just a reminder, we'll be jumping off pretty quickly because the P1 tier starts in 15 minutes, and I need to just grab a quick drink before I get racing there. But a thrilling race, a sprint round here in Austin, a bit of rain, engine penalties, it had everything. Just no safety car though.
Yes, I think that's the third race in the row now where we haven't had a full safety car, so it's showing that the drivers are driving brilliantly cleanly. So I'll go through the order now quickly. So we got Cam taking his second victory of the season. Second is Lawrence. Third is Ghost. Completing the podium, Jamie, a season's best result for fourth. Mason in fifth, I believe that's a season's best result. Joe in sixth. Matthias in seventh. M125 in 8th, Sallow in 9th, Funky in 10th, 11th is Jess, 12th is Proverb, who did get that fastest lap, Skrillex in 13th, Dr. Mew in 14th, and Quinn, Rage, Cowboy and OKK all unfortunately had a DNF.
Alright, well, it's time for Driver of the Day. And to be honest, there's many choices that I could go for. In this top 10 specifically, there's Cam, there's Ghost, there's Jamie, Joe's had a good race, Salu as well, but I think I'm going to give it to a newcomer to the league, 11th to 6th place, finished on the podium, but obviously penalties cost him that, but nevertheless, I think he had a good race, good strategy, and so my vote and Driver of the Day nomination is going to go to Joe. And my question for Joe is, how frustrated were you with those corner cut penalties which denied you a podium position here tonight?
Yeah, that's a great nomination for Joe. Williams driver having a great race. I think my driver of the day, even, Cam drove absolutely brilliantly to take his second win of the season, but I'm going to give it to Ghost. The last couple of races, he's really, really performed really well. He showed a lot of patience overtaking drivers and kept it clean with no penalties to get that third place and get that podium. So my question to you, Ghost, is how nervous were you fighting with Matthias in those last couple of laps? It looked quite risky that you'd be taken out by together, not deliberately, obviously, but just an unfortunate situation. So how comfortable were you racing alongside Matthias with just a couple of laps to go?
Waits, he's going to enjoy typing that one out when he puts these two drivers in the Driver of the Day press conference. But there you have it. So Cam takes, as Colin said, second win of the season. A big thank you to everyone who's watching. A big thank you to the 18 drivers who took part tonight. And of course, Colin, a big thanks to you for joining me in the commentary box. Final thoughts before we go?
Oh, another great race. Some brilliant overtakes as well. I'm just really impressed with the driving standards. There were hardly any yellow flags out there, let alone any safety cars, which really just show the great standard of driving that we've now got between these drivers. Obviously, we haven't got many races left now, so now might see a few drivers get a bit more aggressive.
Well, you'll have to wait and see. Next week we will be racing an hour earlier as well in Mexico, I believe, Colin, because the Mexican Grand Prix is also on later on next week. So hope to see you all there, and best of luck to all the P1 drivers racing in Austin tonight. They go live in about 10-15 minutes, and yeah, we shall see you next week. Nighty night.
Good night, all.